This chapter has examined our society's commitment to free speech and freedom of expression. When it comes to the internet, that particular media sector seems ideal for fostering free speech and free expression. The internet provides a venue for unlimited free speech, where somebody can go online and have immediate access to a million points of view. And that same person can express her own views on a variety of issues for a particular audience. Now, as a society, we continue to talk about ways in which we should regulate the internet, if at all. There continue to be First Amendment issues, and to what extent should internet sites have complete and unrestricted free speech rights? Now, some groups increasingly object to the sexually explicit material online. Some groups argue that there is much too easy access to pornography that young people are able to view without any restrictions. Some groups argue that there continue to be certain provisions that we need to put in place to protect children. There also continues to be a public policy issue over the concept of net neutrality. Net neutrality is a policy that argues that we should have one standard level of service for everybody that uses the internet. For websites that produce material, video, audio, text, that those sites should all have comparable access to an infrastructure to put their site online and have it viewed by other people, right? Similarly, advocates of net neutrality argue that consumers that purchase internet access, broadband access, should have one level of service, that we should all be able to access the internet in terms of similar download speeds, similar quality of connection. Well, increasingly, as the internet has developed as a business, larger internet providers want to do away with net neutrality and increasingly offer what they would call tiered service, where there would be a superior level of service, where, for instance, a company with a website might pay that internet provider more money to have access to a superior connection that would provide better hosting for their site. And that people with that superior access would have better internet connections than other sites that did not pay that premium. Similarly, for consumers, companies like Comcast want to provide tiered service so that some consumers would pay a premium to have better quality internet service, as opposed to other people that would not pay this premium and that would have slower connection speeds. Some argue that as a society, because the internet is so central to our democracy, that we need to continue having a policy of net neutrality, where producers and consumers all have access to the same quality internet. And they argue that because the internet has become such an essential utility, much like our utilities for power or electricity, that that might justify government oversight of the internet to require this net neutrality. Again, though, businesses argue that as the internet develops as a commercial enterprise, Government should not be involved in this, and businesses should be free to develop markets however they see fit. And if more money is to be made by offering premium services, so be it. So in that case, businesses argue that the internet is simply an information service, a product that it is offering to various consumers. So what do you think about this? Do you see the internet today as an essential utility or as an information service? Should we do away with the idea of net neutrality and have tiered service, or should we as a society continue to have a commitment for one level of service for everybody? What do you think? In this course, we have primarily examined media as a business, as a commercial enterprise. And we've looked at the ways in which media like television, film, and popular music try to reach particular consumers and markets. But at some point, though, we also need to examine the role that media play in a democratic society. And we also need to look at our own roles as citizens in this democracy, and what are our responsibilities to make certain that media are doing their job in terms of informing us, in terms of providing a forum for different points of view, in terms of meeting their responsibilities. Well, one thing we can do is to encourage a greater public debate about media ownership. I think one thing that has become clear in this course is that our media are becoming more and more concentrated in the hands of a few. Companies like Time Warner, News Corp, Disney increasingly own a majority of our major media outlets out there today. Are they doing their job well? Is there a problem with this tighter oligopoly in so many media sectors? I think we have a role in trying to raise these issues in our society, to talk about these topics. I think it's also important for us to think about whether or not all views are represented in our media today. Do we find that media outlets do indeed provide a forum for all different points of view to be represented? Or is it more the case that that only more powerful segments of our society get heard? In other chapters we've talked about how TV news shows and talk shows tend to overrepresent leaders in business and corporations, while women and minorities tend to be underrepresented as guests on talk shows. Is there a concern here about certain voices being omitted? Do we provide opportunities for people to express their views, their ideas, their creative vision? I think also as citizens, we have a responsibility to evaluate news organizations and news media and reporters, and really think about whether or not they're doing a good job informing us, reporting on the news, keeping business and government leaders accountable to us. And finally, I think it's also important for us to be critical consumers of media. Way back in chapter 1, we talked about this whole process of media literacy and how we can be more engaged users of media, and we can learn more about the views and ideas that are portrayed in media, so that we don't just passively accept what we see and hear. That if we are more critical media users, perhaps that may prompt media outlets to be more responsive to our concerns.